to imported migrant workers. So nagkaroon sila ng unang spike March 10, then March 22, then March 24. Tapos nagka-local transmission na sila from that because of the migrant workers housed in some dormitories. And then, as we speak, kanina 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago, Prime Minister Lee extended their lockdown to another 4 weeks. Call it the circuit breaker. Nice words for lockdown. Siguro. Circuit breaker, parang it's a nice word lang.
Yeah, no?
Yeah.
Pero parang, okay yun, no? Parang automatic.
Parang pareho lang yun.
Yeah.
But does it,
circuit breaker pag
does any of that, does any of that suggest,
Delayed si Robbie.
Robbie, parang meron kang interference.
Meron
Delayed yung video at audio.
So you were saying, Doc, na who's calling it a circuit breaker?
They call it circuit breaker kasi kung tatawagin nilang lockdown, mahirap sabihin. So that's a lingo from the Prime Minister to soften its impact. Parang nilagyan na ng moniker lang for the lockdown and tinawag niya circuit breaker. Parang, di ba, pagka tayo ay magba-brown out sa bahay, para hindi masira yung buong system mo, meron ka circuit breaker. Para hindi ma-overload yung iyong bahay. And, oo. So nangyari, one part of your house lang ang walang ilaw because yung circuit breaker will take over.
Yes.
And maging maayos ka, tawag ka ng electrician, tapos i-reboot ka ulit, then you'll be alright. Kasi kesa naman mag-brown out ka.
Yeah. Pero yung sa Singapore, di ba, brown din karamihan. Karamihan ng mga cases sa mga form ng mga overseas workers.
is this better? Better ba to?
Ito,
yung video mo, parang hindi tuloy-tuloy yung video.
Ay, nako. Teka, sandali.
Parang naggaganong-ganon.
Parang may gumagaraw. Parang merong interference niya.
Sandali ha, but I don't know.
May ingay. O yun, no? Parang...
Yeah, we're just trying to find my... Hello? How's this?
There's a noise.
Oh,
like
that's not mine.
Clicking.
Sa akin yun.
Parang may ngumunguya.
Hindi sa akin yun. Hindi sa akin yun. Sa akin lang ba yan? Pagka pumapasok lang ako?
Parang may ngumunguya.
Parang.
Not mine. Nothing.
Ayun, tumigil. Ayun ulit.
Meron pa rin eh.
Parang may nilulukot na ano. O yan, wala na.
Ayan. Robbie, are you there? Oh, frozen ka naman, Robbie. Meron pa rin eh, no?
O, sa kanya mo kasi pag tumitigil.
Doc Leachon, sa'yo po yung nagka-crunch na tunog. Medyo palayo na lang po siguro ng mic mo dun sa suit mo, sir. Or...
Ayun, wala.
Ayan, wala na.
Yan. Yeah.
Wala yung mic.
Akin ba nanggagaling yung tunog? I'm doing nothing. Walang ano.
Meron ulit.
Yeah, weird. Ayan.
Yan.
Ayan, meron.
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 What's that?
Yun, no? Marang nagka-crunch.
Ako kaya muna ako ulit. Dali.
Hello?
Oh, yun, nawala. Ayun, nawala yung sound.
Hello?
Nawala yung sound. Si Robby nandito ka, pero si Lucci yung nawala. Nawala yung sound na yung ano. Wala na yung nagka-crunch.
Hello?
Oh, yun. Parang sa'yo, Lucci.
Ako?
Oh, pero nawala yung ano ko. Hello?
Oh, yun, no?
But I can't. Hindi ako makapag-headphone.
Ma'am Ami, ikaw na po intro.
That's my
mag-start na
problem
po tayo,
now.
ma'am. Ikaw na po yung intro.
Punta ka, Ami.
Ah, sige.
Sa akin ang gagaling?
Saan ang babasahin? Sino ba mag-i-intro? Hindi ba si Robby?
Ikaw na
Yeah.
po, Ma'am Ami. Nasa docs po.
Oh, yan, nawala na.
Oh, nawala.
Kung ako mag-i-intro, asan yung babasahin ko?
Nasa Google Docs po, ma'am. Yung sinunod
Asan
na
yung
link
babasahin
kayo.
ko? Ako mag-i-intro.
Ito po, pipaste ko na lang dito, ma'am.
Sige. Nakatingin ako na itong pababa dahil nandito sa baba yung ano. The Department of Health recorded 41 more recoveries from COVID-19. But new cases are still increasing with 200. And medyo itaas mo pang konti. With 200 more, the virus transmission continues as the President on Monday met with the Cabinet and medical experts to come up with recommendations on what actions to take for the ECQ. The work also continues for the heroes of the hour, the frontliners who are in close contact with patients every day. What strengths and motivations are there still left for medical frontliners? As the government is looking at a possible extended ECQ, we discuss in this episode of The Chiefs. Pwede ba itaas mo pang konti? May tataas mo pa. Sige pa, konti pa. Konti na lang. Okay. Okay na, sige. Pero ang mag-intro si Robby.
Ikaw na po, Ma'am Ami.
Ako na rin.
Last 30. Ma'am, pag nakita mo na po mukha mo, game na.
So, ganun ba gagawin natin? Mag-i-intro, sasabihin ko kung sino yung magki-question, ganun ba yan? Tutuloy ba natin yan?
Tapos, standby na po.
The Department of Health recorded 41 more new cases of COVID-19, and new cases are still increasing with 200 more. The virus transmission continues as the President on Monday met with the Cabinet and medical experts to come up with recommendations on what actions to take for the ECQ. The work also continues for the heroes of the hour, the frontliners who are in close contact with patients every day. What strengths and motivations are there still left for medical frontliners as the government is looking at a possible extended ECQ? We discuss in this episode of The Chiefs. Welcome to this special edition of The Chiefs of Hero11 News. With us is an advisor of the Special Task Force on Emerging Infectious Diseases, Dr. Anthony Leachon. Welcome, Doctor, to the Chiefs again. Dr. Leachon, can you hear us, Dr. Leachon? Okay, we're with Lucy Cusco, TV5, and of One News, Robbie Alampay. Robbie, what are we looking at
Hi.
tonight?
Well, the big thing for us is obviously we're waiting to find out what happened. Yesterday, there was, alam natin, maraming pinatawag ang Pangulo sa Malacanang to consult. Some of our guests were there. And yung pa rin ang usapan. I think government, the president is trying to get as much information as he can, both on the public health side and as well as on the socio-economic side, to basically have a decision on what we're going to do with ECQ. Sa ECQ, 2 levels yan, di ba? First is the question of, do we extend? The second question is, do we modify? At yan yung mga detalye na inaantay natin. And you know this better than me, Ami. Yesterday, nag-antay kayo ng gabi. It was a Monday evening. You're waiting for a report. Wala rin nangyari. No? Wala rin tayong naabutan na announcement kahapon.
Until 11. Pero this afternoon, sabi ni Senator Bongo by Thursday daw may announcement si Presidente. Lucy, anong nababalitaan mo on your side?
Well, pare-pareho lang naman tayo ng sources. Pero I think that really the dilemma is whether to prioritize the health side or to prioritize the economic side, no? So, ako nga naiisip ko, it must be really difficult to be a government official at this time. Because the decision is so immense, no? And the consequences, who would know that right now, right? Parang hindi ko alam kung anong gagawin mo kasi it's too early. I mean, in some respects, it's too early to call. It's really too early to call. No?
Mabuti na lang, we have a guest who was at the meeting yesterday. Marami daw na mga kinokonsulta, and he is an advisor, and the president might listen to him. So let's Dr. Anthony Leachon. Doctor, welcome again to the team. Kamusta po kayo?
Yeah.
Doctor, siguro, Doctor, we can start with what you discussed with the President yesterday. Medyo mahaba-haba yung usapan ninyo kahapon. Maybe you can tell us something.
Yeah.
Kung ano nangyari.
Can you hear me?
Mahina pa yata yung Anyway, nagsalita na naman kanina si Presidential Spokesman Harry Roque. Sabi niya, hindi naman daw totoo yung magkakaroon ng total lockdown, pero hindi din daw totoo na magkakaroon ng total lifting at the end of April 30. So, hindi pa rin natin alam. So, ang pinakamalakas na ugo ngayon, baka daw maging modified na, masusundan yung mga gusto ng mga businessman and certain places.
Wala pa yata ang signal ni Dr. Leachon.
Oo nga. Oo. So, mag-recap muna tayo kung ano nangyari ngayong umaga. Ngayong mga briefing natin, yun, medyo dumadami pa rin yung ating mga nurses na nagkakaproblema. We are going to tackle that later in the show. Tapos yun na nga, magla-lockdown simula bukas ng gabi sa Maynila. Total lockdown. Yun ang iniisip natin kung magiging trend yun. Kung if we're going to extend after April 30, dadami ba yun? Lucy, sa inyo, sa lugar nyo, anong nangyayari?
Well, para naman ganun pa rin. Ayan na si Dr.
Ayun na, Dr. Leachon. Can you hear us now, Dr. Leachon? Okay na tayo? Dr. Leachon? Dr. Leachon? Okay na ba tayo? Can you hear us? Di pa rin. Konti na lang. Konting pasensya. Para tong quarantine, ano? Haba-haba. Siyempre, kanina.
But kanina, Lucy, no? I mean, kanina, Lucy, you were talking about how hard it is for government to make a decision. And inaano nga natin natin yung is it too early? Diba? How would we know? And one of the news that we're tracking right now isn't just in the Philippines,
Right.
Singapore, another resurgence ay may wave na naman ng Singapore ng new cases. And in fact, they're back at the top of the list of Southeast Asia. And yung mga ganitong developments, yung nagbibigay pangamba sa atin, and it really gives our leaders pause, because if there's anything that emphasizes the question of hindi pa natin alam, you look at the countries that we have been looking at prior to this as probably doing better, probably more exemplary, and so on, and yet we don't know what they're going through, what they're going to go through in the next few days again.
Yes.
On the other hand, para naman hindi masyado ma-stress yung mga nanonood sa atin, meron din naman mga positive developments, ano? Sa Israel daw, ano na sila ng treatment from placenta-based na 100% effective sa seven patients. Gumaling daw. Saka yung Germany, it's slowly reopening. Sa Norway, meron na silang mga mga nurseries. Diba? At least meron konting positive news happening around us. Diba?
And the thing is, you don't know what to believe in, no? Especially when it comes to these so-called cures, vaccines. You really don't know what to believe. You don't know whether it's effective. You don't know whether they're on trial. Because as far as I know, I mean, the vaccines are not that easy to develop. And you will have to test the vaccine over a long period of time, over, using thousands of samples. That's not going to take overnight, right?
Pero at least merong, at saka yung sinasabi ni Trump, yung cure for malaria. Talaga palang aaprubahan ngayon, naaprubahan na ng FDA for testing.
Ba
Oo. Na ginagamit din yata yun sa lupus. Kaya may mga groups, patients na ginagamit siya, na nagre-reklamo ngayon. They're running out daw. Nagkakaproblema sila ngayon sa pagsosource. Dahil sabi ng mga tao sa Mercury, nagpupunta ako kahit ano daw mabanggit. Yung sinabi na virgin coconut oil, naubos daw yung virgin coconut oil. Yung vitamin C naubos. Pero yung huli kong punta sa marami na puno na ng alcohol. Pagpunta ko sa Mercury Drug yesterday, marami ng alcohol. Saka bumalik na yung virgin coconut oil. Saka meron na rin silang vitamin C. So, Robbie, ano pa yung mga medyo positive para naman hindi ma-stress yung mga natin? Mga nababalitaan. Mga positive developments. At pinag-usapan din pala si Secretary Briones kanina, sabi niya,
yung mga ganyang bagay naman na napapalitan din natin kahapon kahit paano pumapasok na rin yung mga isolation centers natin. And today, we were hearing about people also donating their blood, mga recovered patients. Just like Lucy said, we don't know. On the one hand, we're pinning our hopes on this. At the same time, we're along with other countries and looking at this either as experiments or something that has some efficacy that's already been proven. But pati yung mga plasma na yan, tinetesting na rin dito on whether or not people who have already recovered can contribute something by way of their own blood, by way of But anyway, I understand we're still trying to get Dr. Tony Lechon back. We're gonna have to take a break, a technical break, para lang maayos natin to. And hopefully when we come back, we will be back with Dr. Tony Lechon. Please stay right there. The Chiefs will be right back.
ayan na, Dr. Lechon. Okay na kayo, sir? Dr. Lechon?
Hello.
Ayan.
Okay na? Dr. Lechon? Hindi ka namin, can you talk? Hindi ka namin naririnig.
Mr. Mike, could you test your mic? Wala eh.
Wala.
Doc, yung mic nyo.
Kanina, okay eh. Kaninang hindi pa tayo nag-air, okay.
Doc, yung video nyo, okay. Yung mic nyo, ang wala.
Oh,
Yung
yung
mic.
audio.
Baka,
Kung pipindutin din sa ano, baka naka-mute siya. Hindi, ayun na yung cam mic. Cam mic.
I think he's using his phone now.
Ah,
Yeah. Doc, test your mic,
yung
please.
baka naka-mute? Hindi ka naka-mute?
Hindi po siya nakamute.
Ah, okay na. Okay na.
Ako po yung nagsalita, ma'am.
Ganun ba?
Leachon, pwede po ba mag-restart ng phone?
Wala siyang audio.
Oh, walang audio. Kanina, okay eh.
Papa-restart po muna ng phone. Baka po
Yes.
Naubos ko na yung balita sa dyaryo.
Malapit ka na nga mag-chismis eh. Sabi ko, mapupunta na ako sa chismis.
Hi, ma'am. Ma'am Lucy.
Hi, Joby. Hello.
Kailangan natin tanggalin kahit sa segment na to, wala rin si Robby muna Kasi sobrang bagal ng computer niya, gagawa namin ng paraan siya. Baka sa second guest na siya. Kayo po muna ng dalawa.
Pero si Anthony Leachon.
Oo.
Tapos si Tubiri.
Opo. So, Lechon muna kay Dr. Lechon, kayo po munang dalawa.
Okay na siya?
Ipapasok na yata. Okay na, Aaron.
Ikaw na lang kaya guest ko, Annie.
Naubos ko na nga istorya sa dyaryo.
Ay, nako.
Mamaya chismis na to, lalabas dito.
Oh, may chismis nga ako sa BGC eh. Yung Pacific Plaza na yan.
Yun. Clear yung police. Clear yung police.
Magagalit si RCE. Ang source.
Talaga? Good. Pati yung city government. Clean
Yeah.
yung police.
Yeah.
Clean yung police lahat. DILG, PNP, and the city government.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sino bang papaniwalaan doon?
Nag-exercise ka ba? Lumalabas ka ba?
Meron akong treadmill dito eh. So, Nax! Treadmill dito na unused.
Treadmill ka.
Unused.
Treadmill ka. Maganda daw sunlight, ha? Sabi sa sunlight po it kills the virus. Kaya pag umaga, and kahit mga 5 minutes lang in the morning.
Yeah.
Sarap sa likod.
Vitamin D.
Oh, vitamin D. Masarap siya sa likod.
Yung B12.
Pag morning, Pag morning, maganda.
Yeah.
Maganda.
Yeah.
Eh, hindi ka lumalabas. Nakakailang ka in a week.
Ha?
Nakakailang labas ka in a week.
Wala, hindi pa ako lumalabas.
Talaga hindi ka lumalabas.
Yeah. Running na ako eh. Kasi nagpimonya na ako, di ba? Na-ICU na ako na napakatagal. Kaya nga, ayoko niya.
Hindi ba gamot sa lupus yung yan? Hindi ba gamot siya sa lupus?
Halo-halo na nga eh. Nag-lupus, tapos naging complicated.
Pero yung ini-eksperimento ngayon, di ba? Lupus yun.
Yes. That's what they're using. Yeah. Pero nakakatakot eh. I'm not taking chances. Kasi baka mag-trigger ng kung ano-ano eh. Kasi pinag-notice eh, di ba? Baka pilahan yung sarili ko.
Sinulat nung asawa ni Villar Sabi niya, nauubusan daw siya. Nauubusan daw yung may lupus.
Talaga?
Nagalit siya.
Sabi na siya yung gamot. Yeah.
Sabi niya, konti yun in the first place
Yeah.
Kasi hindi naman lahat ng ano, di ba? Virus eh. Oh. Sino namamalengke? Sa inyo?
Meron kaming maid. Yung aming,
Inaano mo lang.
yeah,
Siya yung may ID sa inyo.
yeah.
Siya
Pero
yung may ID.
grabe yung pila. Pinapadala niya ako ng picture eh.
Ah.
Haba talaga. Oo, tapos they really observe the 6 feet rule. So, biro mo yung link, yung pila, umaabot talaga na EDSA. Ganun ka
Ano oras?
Oo.
Hmm.
Tapos pagdating sa kahera, pila na naman.
Oo nga.
Ubus na yung buong umaga niya. Para
Ano
lang
yung SM?
ha?
SM? SM?
Trinoma.
At rin
Ay,
mo.
mga ma'am. Unahin na natin si Senator Subiri.
Sige.
Okay.
Unahin natin si Senator Subiri, ma'am, ha? So, sa dulo, pwede niyo po mag-usapan na yung tungkol sa plano ng necro kay Gerson Alvarez.
Meron ba?
Kasi ano na eh, parang hindi nila magagawa na sa Senate eh. So may gagawin daw sila na plan or something.
Sige.
Later na po yan, later na po yan. Okay, standby na po kayo kay Senator Subiri.
Sino magkano?
Ikaw.
Sige.
Boses ko, ulo eh.
Sige.
So, anong pinapalabas nila ngayon sa ano? Sa channel 250? Plugs?
Ayun, advertisement ni ano.
Plugs, no?
Ha.
Pa-plug sila.
Ha. Para tayo nag-intro kanina ng ano. Panibago intro to. Hi, Senator.
Hi, Senator Miggs.
Hi, Sorry. Sorry, I forgot to put my ear. Hi, how are you?
Okay.
Hi, Lucy. Hi, Ma'am Amy.
You look good with your, ano, ha? With your,
It's my isolation look.
yeah.
Talaga. Sinadya mo talaga.
Oo, sinadya ko. Siguro mag-ahit na ako.
Ba kayo?
Ahit na lang ako pag start ng session.
Nagpapagupit ba kayo?
Yes.
Ano
Okay. Kasi may puti. Tingnan mo naman yan. Hindi pa ako nagpapagupit. Puti pa nga yung buhok ko.
Last 45.
Okay.
Natatakot ako mag-shave na mag-isa. Baka makalbo
Okay.
ako.
Oo nga.
Oo nga.
Okay. Welcome to this special edition of The Chiefs. We're sorry technology has its limits. Nawala po sa atin sandali lang naman si Robbie Alampay, and we will have Dr. Anthony Leachon later in the show. But now, we have with us Senator Mick Subiri, and looking well recovered. Senator Subiri, welcome to The Chiefs.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Amy, Ma'am Lucy. Good to see everyone. Magandang gabi po. Good evening po.
Kumusta po yung ano ninyo, Senator? You had a bout with COVID. You're a survivor.
Yes.
You just
thankful-
donated plasma. Maybe you can tell us your experience.
Yes. Well, first of all, thank God for saving me. Thank God for giving me the second life. Alam mo, nakakatakot magkaroon ng COVID dahil hindi mo alam, 50-50 eh. It could go mild, it could go severe. Yung nangyari po ay March 11, the last day of session, I was told, sinabihan po ako ni Senator Gatchalian, he called us, I was having dinner with Senator Angara and Senator Binay. Ang sabi po niya sa amin, we had a positive COVID patient in our hearing. So, medyo natakot po kami lahat, and that night I did what I had to do, which was to isolate myself. kasi magkasama po kami sa isang kwarto yung buong pamilya ko. And we decided that for that night, I'll move them out and I moved them to the other room and I stayed alone. And, timing, because that night I had fever. Apparently, that was the start of my COVID experience. I had 38.5 fever that night and body aches the next day. So, ang ginawa ko, I drank right away 1,000 milligrams of paracetamol every 6 hours. So, nakaubos po ako ng 12 tablets. So, that was about almost 36 hours. No? So, since March 11, 12, and 13. So,
Hindi pa
pero,
masama.
opo, yung actually, yung paracetamol, hindi po ma'am, Amy, it's ibuprofen yung masama.
Yes.
Paracetamol is okay. So, ang nangyari was, after that, nawala po yung fever, na-control, na-maintain ko po yung aking temperature below 30, by 37, below 37 degrees. Tapos siguro yung nakasalba sa akin, yung talagang nakatulong sa akin, it really helped me, was the pagmumumog, no? Gargling with hot water and salt. I did that every 2 hours together with Bactidol. Sometimes ina-alternate ko po. And I think, sabi nga ng isang disease expert na that probably was one of the reasons why hindi umabot sa baga yung virus, because apparently it starts off with a fever, it's in your body, but not yet in your lungs. And what happens is it gets stored in the throat na matagal po siya sa lalamunan natin at lalo na pag palagi daw tayo nakahiga, dyan po na pumapasok sa baga yung virus. And I was really thankful na ginawa ko po yung mga protocols na tinuro sa akin ng mga doktor. I have to thank Dr. Paz Corrales of RITM together with Dr. Nuni Fernandez of Makati Med, yung uncle ko po, kapatid ng mami ko, and all the other doctors, Dr. Kiki Posas also of St. Luke's, who were giving me good medical advice. And yun po, after that, March 13 po ako na-test. Of course, I still had some symptoms. Kaya nung March 16, positive po yung kalalabasan ng test. And then what I did was, I maintained my isolation protocol all the way to 36 days. Kasi talagang natatakot ako, baka mahawaan yung pamilya ko. I was with my family, so I was here at home. So the last thing I want to happen was knock on wood that my wife or my children would get it. I could never forgive myself pag nangyari yun. So what happened was by March 30, I was able to get my second swab to check if I still am positive or negative. Thankfully po, I was negative. And then I had 1 week after, I had another swab for my second test. And then dun po lumabas na second negative na po tayo. And because of that, naging candidate na po ako for plasma donation. Kaya yung nakikita po nilang pictures, yan pong ginawa ko kaninang umaga sa Philippine General Hospital, sa PGH. Yes. So, opo.
Senator, hindi ka pala talaga nagpa-confine the whole time.
Thankfully, hindi, Ma'am Lucy. Kasi nagko-confine po lang kayo pag hindi na po kayo, nahirapan na po kayo huminga. Pag nahirapan na po kayong huminga, and yes, that's the time.
Yun.
Hindi pa po. Actually, yung pagbisita ko sa PJs was probably the first time I've been to hospital after several months. So, thankfully, hindi katulad ng kasamahan ko, no? Like for example, si Senator Sani Angara, medyo mas malala, no? He was a bit more severe than I was. He had to be confined for a few days in the hospital because he had developed pneumonia. So thankfully, I didn't develop pneumonia. Thank God, no? And Mama Mary, I pray to them every day, and that really helped me be able to sustain at home. Pero yun nga, many, about 80% po ng mga COVID patients katulad ko. Kanina sa PJH, I talked to several doctors, like for example, Dr. Gap Legaspi, he's the head of PGH, tsaka si Dr. Jonas Del Rosario, spokesperson ng PGH. Pareho po sila na-test positive din. And they were like me. They only had mild symptoms. Yung isang doktor, wala talaga naramdaman, pero positive siya. So, thankfully, 80% of the time, it's people like us. 20% of the other patients are a bit more severe. But what I'd like to ask and make an appeal, Ma'am Amy, Ma'am Lucy, no? Sa lahat po nakikinig na yun na recovered patient, sana po madonate po ninyo inyong dugo because it is really a life-saving procedure. Yung plasma po ay galing sa ating dugo at ito po ay may lamang antibodies. At itong antibodies, Ma'am Lucy and Ma'am Amy, are the ones that help fight the disease within our system. So, last Thursday, bumisita sa akin isang doktor ng St. Luke's, ng PGH, at kinunan po ako ng sample para ma-check muna yung dugo ko kung may antibodies at kung pwede po akong kandidato for donation. If anyone is interested, all they have to do is go to the PGH hotline and they'll facilitate everything. Kasi napaka-in-demand itong plasma. These are for critically ill COVID patients. At kinikwento nga nila kanina, they've had several patients na naging successful talaga. Wherein, there was even one story they were telling me, a 4-year-old or 5-year-old na bata, no, na child, talagang medyo critically ill na siya. Grabe na, puno-puno na ng tubig yung kanyang lungs. Binigyan po siya ng plasma therapy and within 2 days, gumanda po ang mga vital signs niya at gumaling po yung pasyente. So, kaya napakahalaga nito para sa ating fight against COVID-19. So, I think there are already over 520, 550 recovered patients.
Yeah.
So far, yung nagdo-donate lang po sa St. Luke's are only 20, no? 2 po. I think I'm probably number 21. So, napakarami pa po hindi nagdo-donate. Huwag po sana silang matakot. I didn't feel a thing. Syempre, may malaki lang na konti yung needle. Pero kayang-kaya naman. Pagpasok, wala na po kayo nararamdaman. Pagbigay po ng dugo, the beauty of this, Ma'am Amy, Ma'am Lucy, so lahat nanonood po, hindi po kayo mawawala ng dugo. Hindi po to katulad ng donation mo sa Red Cross na whole blood. Dahil pag donate po I always donate every quarter dahil kasama ko po si Senator Gordon sa Red Cross, he's my chairman. Every time I donate ng whole blood, which is about half a liter, isang bag po, mga half a liter po yan or 600 ml, talagang mahihina ka ng konti dahil syempre magbibigay ka ng dugo, hihina ka ng konti, medyo lightheadedness, but only temporary for 1 or 2 days, 24 to 48 hours. Pero dito po, kagad-agad, wala po akong nararamdaman dahil binabalik po nila yung dugo. It's a centrifuge. May centrifuge machine po sila. Sineseparate nila yung plasma tsaka yung dugo. And then yung dugo na wala na po yung plasma, tinanggal na po yung plasma, pinasok na sa isang plastic container, yung dugo mo po bumabalik sa iyong katawan. So it goes back into your body. That's why, yes ma'am.
Senator, ilan ang natutulungan ng isang donation from you? Ilang tao matutulungan nun? Ilang pasyente?
Ma'am, it can help 2 patients at the very least kasi at least 300 ml na plasma per patient. And in demand pala yung aking blood type because my blood type is type A positive. Marami pala sa mga patients are type A. There's some sort of phenomenon all over the world na type A ang nakakapitan talaga ng or madaling kapitan ng COVID-19. So talagang in demand yung type A. Nung nalaman ko po yun, that's why tinawagan ko po yung PGH for donation. But you have to call them kasi kailangan po mag-screening muna. They have to screen your blood if you have HIV or hepatitis C and things like that.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations, Senator, na nakapag-recover kayo.
Yeah.
Thank you po. Thank you.
Strong.
Pansin lang
Pero
namin,
Senator Gerson Alvarez was not as lucky, no?
Yes.
And I understand that he also underwent plasma therapy. Pero hindi
Yes.
yata nag-work, no?
Actually, the doctors,
Sabi ng mga doktor noon tungkol sa, sabihin na natin, efficacy. ng
actually, nakausap po yung mga doctors na tumulong sa kanya dun sa, he was actually in, if I'm not mistaken, was it Manila Doctors? Kasi katabi ng PGH yun. So, ang dugo galing sa PGH and yung plasma galing sa PGH na dinala po kay Senator Alvarez. But apparently, he was already in the later stage, Ma'am Lucy. Kaya ngayon, yung mga scientists ng PGH, they're trying to decide when will be the best time to give itong plasma treatment. Kasi ang nangyari po kay Senator Alvarez, parang nahuli na. Medyo malala na yung situation. He was already 50-50 at that time. They were hoping that this could be a miracle para mababa po, gumanda yung kanyang vital signs.
Yes.
So now, what they're trying to recommend is not to give it too late in the stage.
Right.
Too late in the stage of the disease. So, ang gusto nila, in the median stage, habang lumalala na, nagkakaroon na po ng pneumonia, and may tubig na sa baga, dyan dapat bigay itong plasma with antibodies sa mga pasyente. So, I think that is what they were explaining to me kanina, dahil tinanong ko din po yun eh. Sabi ko, bakit kay Senator Alvarez hindi po gumana? At sabi nila sa akin, medyo huli na ang pagbigay. It was in the later stage na lahat ng vital signs na daw ay mababa. That's what the doctors were telling me. Of course, I don't know the particular situation.
Okay, Senator, maiba lang tayo, no?
Opo.
Of course, pinag-uusapan ngayon yung kung dapat bang i-extend yung lockdown. And I think some members of Congress have expressed their objection to the extension, but others, like Congressman Salceda, has made known very strongly his strong opinion that it should not be, or rather that it should be extended.
Yes.
I want to know what your thoughts are on this.
We have a Viber group, the Senate Majority Bloc. We have a Viber group. There are members that are in favor of an extension. They want science to show first that there is actually a leveling of the curve na mas konting natatamaan ng contamination kaysa nakikita po nating numero na yon sa mga recovered, no? We have to look at the science. We have to look at the numbers. We don't want na mangyari po sa atin ang nangyari sa Singapore. Singapore was the leader in the region in terms of controlling COVID-19. Now there is a relapse and explosion of COVID-19 in Singapore. The president of Singapore, kalalabas lang po ng Prime Minister, I think the Prime Minister came out on TV, and he was explaining the situation, no, na now nag-extend po sila ng lockdown for 4 more weeks.
Yeah.
Imagine from now 4 more weeks. And they were already relaxing, no? They were already relaxing the quarantine measures there. Now they had to extend total lockdown for 4 weeks, closing all establishments except for essential establishments like groceries and banks. Everything else will be closed.
Well,
So,
what about
yan
the
ang-
modified lockdown? Is that
we have some colleagues also, Luchi, that are, we also have colleagues, Luchi, that are in favor of a modified lockdown. But ang problema kasi natin, Luchi, is I'm sorry to say this at mababash talaga ako ng social media nito or whatever. Pero maraming pasaway sa ating mga kababayan. I just saw a video kung saan yung aming parish priest ay namigay po ng namagi ng relief goods sa isang barangay. I don't even know which barangay, but it's in near Pasig River. Lahat ng tao po nasa labas na kanilang mga tahanan, nandun po sila sa parang beach bank, yung beach area ng Pasig River, punong-puno ng tao. Siguro hindi pa napuntahan ng police and ng mga barangay officials. But pagkaganon kasi, Ma'am Amy, Ma'am Luchi, I don't see a leveling of the curve o pagbagsak po ng contamination nitong COVID-19 dahil matitigas nga ng mga kababayan natin, matitigas ang ulo. And because of that, it will put our medical services on the brink. It could put it on the brink of collapse because kung mapuno po yung mga ICU natin, mapuno po yung mga isolation areas natin, at iilan lang naman pong ating respirators. We only have 3,000 for the whole country. I think Metro Manila, we have only over 1,000 respirators. Yung iba nasa ibang probinsya. So, yan ang tinatakutan ko. I think the reason why they want to extend another 2 weeks, parating din po yung mass testing kits by that time. We need kasi to test. Kung meron po tayong build, dapat may test. Ako hindi po ako conforme sa ng utos ng DOH na i-test lamang po yung mga COVID exposed patients, tsaka yung mga may sakit na, may nararanasan. I think they should test everyone. PUI, PUM, and of course yung mga exposed, lalo na mga frontliners natin, yan ang i-prioritize po nila. I'll give you an example. Senator Gatchalian just opened through Rex Gatchalian, the mayor of Valenzuela. This is a true story. 2 2 days ago, last week, he texted us that binigyan po niya kami ng report. He gave us a report on the mass testing that they did in Valenzuela. The initial test kits that came, ang unang tinest po nila, yung PUIs, PUM, and of course, yung may sakit na talagang may symptoms. Obviously, the ones with symptoms are all positive. And then yung PUIs at PUMs, ito po yung nangyari. Yung PUI, which were mas malala na symptoms from the PUM, out of 10 that they tested, that they had in their list, 2 positive. But yet, under the DOH guidelines, they can still go home to isolate. Pero positive na po sila. Ito yung nakakatakot. Sa 20 PUMs nila, which is the least of in terms of severity of these cases, out of 20, 5 ang positive. Kaya we have to test or else uuwi po yan sa kanilang mga tahanan. And we know the situation in many of these areas, lalo na sa mga informal settlers. In 10 square meters, 3-4 ng pamilya na nakatira doon. So if we send them back to those places, instead of isolating them in special isolation quarantine areas, magkakaroon ng explosion ng COVID-19. And I think it'll be difficult to control it from then on. Ayaw po natin nangyari sa Italy, sa New York, sa Spain, na magkaroon po ng libo-libong contaminations within every week. And then, tatas.
Pero Senator, the question is, pagpalagay na that we're able to identify the positives, do we have enough facilities and enough medical workers to actually attend to them? Kasi ang dami nun, sir. Pwedeng, well, we don't know, no? Pero let's just assume na marami yun. Pero meron mo bang sapat na kakayahan to actually care for them?
We must prepare for the worst, and obviously we're not prepared yet for the worst. I do not know kung bukas na po yung ginawa po nilang isolation wards dun sa Rizal Coliseum, bukas na ba po? I'm not sure if kung bukas na yung sa Rizal Coliseum, yung sa PICC, and the other areas, because we need those. We need those to be operating now. And we also support the movement of all the LGUs, lahat ng moves ng LGUs para magbukas po din ng kanilang sariling isolation wards. Many LGUs now are doing that, from San Juan to Manila to Quezon City to Valenzuela, Makati, where they put up a number of isolation wards for their people, para sa mga residente dun. That has to be done.
Unang na-decimate yung mga frontliners, no?
Yes.
Unang na-decimate. So, habang dumarami yung mga positives, kumukunti naman yung mga nasasama doon, yung mga frontliners. So, who's gonna care for the caregiver, diba? Parang ganun na nangyayari.
Kaya nga nauubos po yung mga frontliners natin, and I'm sorry to say that we really have to take good care of them. That should be priority number 1. At hindi lamang po sa private hospitals, pati sa public hospitals, but also in private hospitals. Marami din mga namamatay na doctors from private hospitals. So I think the DOH should focus on the PPEs, and of course, also, kailangan din po natin, priority natin dapat ang pagbibili ng gamot dahil mauubusan na tayo ng gamot. Buong mundo po, there's a bidding war for all these hydrochloroquine, for these HIV drugs, all the drugs that they are using now to be able to control COVID-19. Nauubos na po. Yung India, kalalabas lang po nila ng order that they will stop exporting these drugs. Kasi ang India, malaking pharmaceutical company po yan. So, they already stopped dahil tinatago po nila for their 1 billion population.
Kaya nga, Senator, I think the challenge is where is the balance point? Because if we continue with the lockdown, di ba, di lalong walang manufacturing that will come, that will go on. Paano magtatapos, and how will an extension of the lockdown actually help?
Senator, pagdagang ko lang yun. Kasi in-announce kanina na magre-resume na daw ang session ng Congress on May 4. So kayo mukhang medyo nakahanda na kayo na ano.
Well, yun nga, kailangan namin, opo ma'am.
Business as usual na ba kayo?
Hindi po ma'am back
Before
to normal. I think ang mangyayari po, kailangan talaga namin pumasok kailangan po namin pumasok ng May 4 because we have to approve the resolution for teleconferencing. And then hopefully we can do already our teleconferencing at home para hindi na po ma-expose yung aming mga staff and of course ang mga senador. Alam mo, marami sa aming mga senador, hindi naman lahat ay kasing tibay ng ibang senador na katulad ni Manny Pacquiao na matibay. Meron po tayong senators that are senior citizens and of course have underlying health problems as well. So what we want to do, modified na po kami, I will appeal to the body na we will have non-essential visits muna. Kaya nga ako nahawaan, Ma'am Amy, Ma'am Lucy, sa dami ng bisita dun sa Senado noong March 9, 10, 11, puno ng Mayor's League meetings, mga Councilors League, may mga liga noon lahat sila pumunta sa Senado. So, ang dami nagpa-selfie sa amin, doon po kami natamaan.
Teleconference kayo.
Meron din kayong targeted hearings.
Yes. Actually, ang mangyayari kasi, Lucy, we discussed this in our Viber groups, no? For this month of May 4 to June 4, we want to prioritize muna essential pieces of legislation that can help us in this time of COVID crisis. In other words, wag muna natin pag-usapan yung sports or other issues or we'll just move it aside first. Let us discuss how we can help. Yes, ma'am?
Senator, bago yung mga yung mga legislation, kailangan niyo munang mag-goodbye kay Senator Alvarez.
Yes, ma'am, of course.
May special
Of course.
kayo,
First,
kasi di ba ang protocol kapag
Yes, ma'am.
COVID death, kailangan dire-diretso sa crematorium.
Yeah.
Actually, ma'am,
Paano yung necro niyo for Senator Alvarez?
thank you for asking that. Alam mo, we are very saddened of the passage of Senator Harrison Alvarez. Isa po siyang haligi ng Senado in terms of his achievements and what he's done. For example, in my advocacy of environment, alam mo si Senator Alvarez was a champion of environmental issues and anti-climate change. So, ang gagawin po namin na Ma'am Amy, itong May 4, usually kasi may necro po kami. When a member of the Senate passes away, even if we're on break, nagsa-session po kami for one day. We come back and then we honor him. At this time, hindi po namin magagawa out of the COVID-19 protocols. But we will honor him on May 4 with a resolution. That's the first item on our agenda. We promise that, ma'am.
I see.
Okay. Sige.
All right. That's interesting. But we're not done yet. So,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
yeah, we're not done yet. We're just going to go to GAP and then
Yes,
we
ma'am.
will continue this very interesting conversation. So stay with us. We'll be back.
Thank you, ma'am.
Kay Doc Leachon.
Sorry.
Ayan na. Ayan.
Hi, Doc.
Tuloy pa ba? Ay,
Testing na ulit, Doc. Doc,
ay,
pwede na.
Senator. Pwede na
Oo,
po ba?
ano na naman,
Narinig niyo
delayed
po?
pa rin. Delayed pa rin yung audio. Doc,
Wala
Juliet,
po.
yung audio nyo, yung voice nyo, ang medyo malabo. Dr. Leachon.
Doc,
Wala pa rin.
internet challenge.
Yan. Okay na po.
Ayan na.
May boses na po.
Yes.
Ayan.
Meron
Yes.
po.
It's that way.
Okay.
It's better.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay na. Medyo delayed lang yung video. Ay, yung audio. Medyo delayed.
Ma'am Lucy, ikaw po intro. Standby po tayo.
Okay.
Session na po. Ay. sound.
Okay, welcome back to the Chiefs. And at this point, we will also welcome back Dr. Tony Leachon. Dr. Tony, ay salamat. We need to talk to you because you are our witness for what happened last night during the meeting with the experts. Ano ba talaga nangyari doon?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes,
Can you hear me?
yes.
It's to be, hi, Senator Migs. Kamusta po?
Hi, good evening.
Opo. Ito lang po pa, unahan ko na po kayo. Wala pa hong decision and then wala pa rin time. Ang purpose nung meeting, nandun si Senator Soto, si Congressman, Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano, Senator Bongo at si Congresswoman Helen Tan, then some cabinet members, members of the IATF, and former secretaries of health and health advocates. So, wala pong
Your takeaway.
decision pa and then walang time. We were given pong some time to speak up and then kung ano yung views ninyo. So, isa-isang muna pong tinawag yung mga secretaries of health. And during my time, siyempre meron po rin akong top 3 items na gusto ko pong i-share. Siyempre, during the time po na nandun na po kayo, habang dinidiscuss ng ibang key opinion leaders, nababanggit na yung ano. So, I shared lang po yung 3 concerns. The first is yung granularity of the data and real-time data, because I noticed when you're watching CNN during interviews po ni President Trump and of course Governor Andrew Cuomo, you can see yun pong yung kanilang real-time data, tsaka po yung yun pong kanilang curve, pinapakita po nila. And then you can see on the screen as well na nagbabago yung data po nila on the cases as well as the number of deaths po. Para kung during the election time, nakikita po nyo. Sa tingin ko po very important yun kasi you can make right decisions at the moment, also for some of the local government units. And second kong binring up po ay yung because of the second wave in Singapore, because of the migrant workers nila, nagbalik po, tumaas po yung yung cases nila. And right now, sila po yung number 1 ngayon sa Asia.
Right.
And then yung number 3, feedlog ko rin po na in June po, there will be, it's the start of the rainy season and we're visited by 20 typhoons a year. So, pag tayo nagkaroon ng floods, there will be increase in the cases of dengue, pneumonia, and flu, which can actually cause some problems in diagnosing COVID. And they will go to the evacuation centers. And this will negate the primary gains of social distancing. So, I alerted the key opinion leaders as well as the president that this should be taken into consideration. So there's a saying, John F. Kennedy, na we need to fix the roof while the sun is shining. So, ang ibig sabihin, yung decision whether to maintain, modify, or lift the lockdown, we have to take into consideration not only the lowering of the viral spread based on the DOH data, increasing the healthcare capacity, yung mga testing centers, testing kits, yung mga PPEs na binanggit po ni Senator Migs, at saka yung mga medications. But we should look into the possibility.
Dr. Leachon,
We should look into the possibility of preparing the nation for a second outbreak. According to the literature, yung 1918 pandemic, meron din pong outbreak. And ngayon, nangyayari nga po sa Singapore. And then sa Hokkaido, sa Japan, nag-declare po si Prime Minister Abe ng national emergency kasi po nag-increase din po ang cases nila. And these are first world countries na nagkaroon ng spikes because of the wave. So basically, yan po ang contribution ko kagabi. And then na-touch po nila, gagaling po ng mga suggestions. And then kinulate lang ho ng President and their and the IATF members so that they will be able to discuss that this week. I'm sure nakita rin naman yun yung sa internet and yung sa social media, some of the discussion items. One of the items na lumabas kanina is the presentation of the UP group, si Dr. Mahar Lagmay,
Yes.
because they volunteered themselves to be the agency that will take care of the data with granularity, knowing that the Department of Health might be overwhelmed at this moment, and we need a large group of individuals na may researchers, mathematicians, so that you can crunch the data in time for the IATF decision this week.
Okay, Doc, where was the conversation during? Was it during toward an extension, whether modified or not?
Well, yung iba nagsasuggest, pero ako personally, knowing what I know, and I'm in a unique position kasi naririnig ko yung IATF, tapos I work po with Secretary Galvez, the Chief Implementer, tapos naririnig ko yung preparation ng LGU. Ang tingin ko po personally, yun pong ating viral spread ay hindi pa ho controlled kasi nag-i-increase pa rin yung cases po. Saka yung deaths po natin, meron pa rin po. One of the most important things po nakalagay sa literature, pagka-incidence of new cases, it must be at the level that the healthcare system can manage. Yun ang number one consideration. And number two, must have substantial clinical capacity in reserve. Sa tingin ko, kung meron traffic light dashboard, it might be yellow. Ang red kasi is far below the target. And then green means the target. I think we're yellow here. And I don't think in 9 days we'll be able to achieve that. Kasi I have not seen the curve ko, the Philippine style. And nakikita ko pa, hindi ho po anong consistent basis. I can see it from some epidemiologists volunteering their service. Now, ang isa pong nakikita ko rin, yun pong tinatawag nating healthcare capacity. And number one dito yung testings. As you can see po, nira-ramp up po natin. That's the favorite word ngayon, ramp up. Yung testing centers, testing kits in order pa. And tapos nagkasakit po yung mga taga-RITM, 40 of their employees ang nagkasakit. So this will scale down their work from April 16 to April 24. So dun pa lang po, logically po, if the main center ng laboratory in the Philippines, medyo maantala po yun. So even without deciding po health-wise, kasi ako I'm a doctor and seeing right now the situation, I don't think we can start the economy na parang one bang. If ever po, parang like in the suggestions po in other country and saka sa World Health Organization, ang tawag po nila phasing or localized. Ang ginawa ko pong reference modeling, China po. Ang China po ang pinakahuli ay Wuhan. Inuna po nila yung areas in China where yung sakit bumaba na at ang healthcare capacity okay na po. Ang pinakahuli nila po ni-reopen ay yung pong Wuhan, which is the epicenter. At nakita ko po sa Johns Hopkins, nag-flatten na po yung curve ng China doon ng New Zealand and South Korea. Yan po yun. At yung new spikes, dalawa pong countries na first world na tinatawag naming COVID models, Japan and Singapore, because of the second spike. Sa Japan naman, hindi migrant workers. According to Prime Minister Abe, as long as people daw are walking and cross borders, magkakaproblema ka kasi hindi ho siya nagpa-lockdown doon and then hindi rin siya aggressive sa test kits. So nung naglakad na yung mga tao, nagkahawahan po yun. Yun ang kanyang analysis. So ngayon, nagte-testing po siya ngayon and then nagpapalimit siya ng movement. Like in the Philippines po ngayon.
Dr. Liatson, mukhang hindi pa kayo confident na kaya natin mag-lift ng ECQ by April 30, no? Marami pong salamat sa mga insights niyo. Hihingan po namin ng reaction yung isa po namin guest ngayon. We will go back to Senator Mig Subiri. Senator, narinig niyo po yung
Senator, pagaling po kayo.
Okay na po ako, Doc.
Maraming
Thank you, Doc. Thank you. Thank you, Doc.
Okay na
Salamat.
siya.
Thank you.
Siguro, Senator Subiri, mas medyo positive ang message ninyo dahil gumaling kayo. Narinig
Yes,
niyo
pero,
sinabi na,
opo,
tingin
actually,
ba natin na mag-ease, mag-modified quarantine by the end of April 30?
Ma'am Ami, I think you could see na ang sinabi niya, no, patulad ng binanggit ko kanina, at tinihintay niya po yung mga numero, at sa mga numero nakikita po niya na yon, parang malabo pa, marami pang nako-contaminate at nadadagdagan po na nadadagdagan ang listahan kaysa humihina ang listahan. In other words, we're gaining ground actually, dumataas at tumataas yung mga ating mga patients na positive. So, katulad ng binanggit niya, ayaw niya po nangyari sa Singapore at sa Japan, Hokkaido, Japan, dito sa atin. So I think we may need to extend another 15 days. I am with the group dun sa Senado na, pumapayag or sumusuporta sa extension for another 15 days. Katulad ng binanggit ko kanina. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
What about the economic damage, the implications?
Well, I think another 15 days, if it was maybe another month or so, there could be long-term ramifications in terms of the economy. But I think another 15 days, I think we can survive. Many countries, I think India nag-extend another 2 weeks. Yung sinabi ko kanina, yung Singapore extended 4 more weeks. They'll be opening second week of May. There are countries, I believe Italy and other, I think Spain will again move forward another 2 more weeks.
Pero tayo, threshold.
Yes. Oo nga, pero naalala mo sinabi ni Mr. Ramon Ang, di ba? Sabi niya, yung pera kaya natin gawin ulit. Yung buhay, pagpatay, wala na. Goodbye na. So, yan po ang aking experience. Sinasabi ko po sa ating mga kababayan lahat, ay napaka-traidor po nitong COVID na ito, COVID-19. Mag-ingat po tayong lahat. Huwag po tayong pasaway. Lalong-lalo na kung mahal po ninyo ang inyong anak, asawa, magulang, lolo at lola. Pagpasaway po tayo, pag umuwi po tayo ng bahay, baka mahawa po sila lahat. At syempre, dahil mahawaan po sila lahat, ay pati yung mga doctors at nurses po natin ay kawawa. So, manatili po tayo sa ating mga tahanan para at least bumagsak po yung curve na ito, humina po yung contamination, at mas konti pong mahawaan.
Okay, Senator Mig Subiri, marami pong salamat at congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you po, ma'am.
Thank you. Babalik po kami, meron pa kaming isang guest. Thank you very much. Ano pangalan?
Jocelyn.
Jocelyn.
Jocelyn Andamo.
Testy.
Hi,
Jocelyn.
po.
Okay.
Andamo.
Hello. Jocelyn Andamo. Okay yung
Andamo.
video. Si Lucy, ano?
Ako na naman.
Okay.
Sige.
Gusto yung buhok ko.
Filipino Nurses United.
And welcome back again to the Chiefs here on One News. And for the final stage of our conversation this evening, we have with us Jocelyn Andamo. She is the Secretary General of Filipino Nurses United. Welcome, Jocelyn.
Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you, Ma'am Lucy.
Yes.
Ma'am Ami.
Okay, Jocelyn, ang dami nang nai-infect na mga nurse, no? At
Yes
last
po.
count, I think we were at 242.
Yes po.
Tapos meron pang,
That's right.
I think something like 43 na mismo nasa RIPM. Okay,
Mhm.
can you explain to us, or at least describe to us, the situation on the ground?
Opo.
How is it? Are you sufficiently protected?
Yung dami po ng cases ng COVID among health workers and nurses at yung deaths po ng doctors and nurses ay tingin namin ito ay isang indikasyon ng inadequate protection po ng mga health workers on the ground. At present, our nurses are very tired, emotionally, psychologically, and physically stressed out. And we feel that nurses are not fully protected.
Paano yung
PPEs
shifting?
are still insufficient.
Yes. Can we talk about the shifting, no? How long do you have to work? Yun muna.
Apo, marami pong members namin nagkukwento na merong nagduduty po sa kanila ng 14 days straight and 7 days straight po. Ang
Oh.
iba sa ibang ospital po na government hospital.
What do you mean by
No.
straight? Walang pahinga?
Opo,
Ilan ang
opo,
tulog mo? Mga ilang oras ang tulog mo? Nakakatulog.
yung 7 days straight po, sabi nila, they go on duty for 8 hours. Yung iba po ay nag-duty ng 12 hours.
Wow.
So,
Tapos-
tingin po namin talagang nakakapagod ito.
Yes.
Ano yung protective equipment nila?
Oo.
Ano yung protective equipment? Napapalit-palitan ba yun regular? Yung mask?
Opo,
Yung
meron po silang PPE, may mask po, coverall, kompleto naman po. Kaya lang, kung minsan po ay may question kung ilang oras po or minuto silang na-expose doon sa mga patients. Sa tingin po namin dapat minimize po ang exposure nila sa mga cases para hindi po sila ganun ka-expose sa virus.
So what is the ideal amount of exposure?
Sa tingin po namin, sa isang shift, kailangan once or twice lang po silang lalapit sa pasyente para bigyan ng care ang patients. Kaya lang po, kung halimbawa kukonti ang staff, napipilitan silang mag-handle ng maraming pasyente or magkakaroon silang ng mas maraming interaction o exposure doon sa patients. Kaya kami po ay tingin po namin merong dapat i-evaluate, no? Yung immediate po or urgent na kailangan ma-evaluate ang ating mga procedures, protocols on the ground. Halimbawa po sa number of hours and number of days ng duty, we have to evaluate kasi tingin po namin ay may problema po dito. It's really very problematic, if not extremely dangerous po, ang protocols na ini-implement sa ngayon. Na kailangan po talaga ng immediate evaluation.
Kumusta naman yung yung mga accommodations, yung transportation papunta sa trabaho? Kasi nagkaroon ng problema nung umpisa eh. Naremedyohan na ba yun?
Meron pong iba na naremedyohan. Meron iba po na gumagawa po sila ng sarili nilang pamamaraan. No? Kasi kawawa po yung ibang mga nurses na nagtiis halimbawa sa rooms na napakainit. Merong ilang days silang nagstay doon. Eventually, sa pakikipag-usap nila sa management ay nabigyan sila ng mas maayos na room, well-ventilated or may air-conditioned room. Pero meron pa rin ho kaming mga kasamang nurses na members namin na natutulog lamang sa sahig, no? Or walang cubicles. So,
Sahig ng hospital po yan, yung sinasabi niyo?
Opo.
Sahig ng hospital. Okay.
Opo. May panahon din po na nagstay din sila doon sa vicinity kung nasaan yung mga pasyente. Although yung iba po ay eventually nailipat din sila sa ibang building. So may mga ganung risk po, no? Kaya merong mga, kumbaga masasabi nating mga butas, loopholes na kung saan ito po ang nagiging cause ng talagang risk, no po, yung na-expose sila doon sa virus. So,
Pero
yun yung
pag sinasabi mo na dapat baguhin yung protocol, halimbawa, bawasan yung oras sa COVID patient, pag
Yes.
ginawa yun, di magkukulang kasi even now, di ba,
Yes,
yung
ma'am.
ratio ng nurse
ma'am.
patient,
Yeah. Kaya po,
napakataas, no?
yes.
So,
We go to our another recommendation. That's why we're appealing to the government the urgent mass hiring of nurses because of we see and we foresee the depletion of our human resources. March pa po nanawagan na ang Filipino Nurses United of the urgent mass hiring. Hindi naman po dito sa ospital, kundi pati sa communities natin, sa rural areas. Marami po kaming members in the rural areas.
do we have enough?
We don't have enough nurses, but we can hire more nurses because as a statistics po ng Department of Health, as early as 2010, we have 200,000 unemployed nurses in the Philippines.
Wow! Marami
Yes
na.
po.
Hindi,
Napakadami po.
ayaw nilang pumasok, ayaw nilang maging nurse actually. Kasi yun ang mababa yung sweldo, na masama yung compensation, tapos ang hirap-hirap ng trabaho, long hours. Totoo ba yan? Kasi at one point, natatandaan ko, sabi nila hanggang mga 300,000 actually na nurses na karamihan nagtatrabaho nila sa BPO kasi mas maganda yung compensation. Totoo ba yun?
Totoo po kasi hanggang ngayon, meron pang nurses receiving 7,000 pesos per month or 10,000 or even lower. Tapos marami pang nurses na contractual or casual or what we call job order nurses. No po? Pero
No,
grabe ang workload.
That begs the question, Jocelyn, no? Dun sa
Yes, ma'am.
200,000, lahat ba yun unemployed or mga nagtatrabaho sa ibang field?
Ayaw
Oo.
Sa statistics po ng DOH, they are unemployed. Iba pa po yung misemployed or underemployed. Opo. Meron po kasing nag-opt mag-non-nursing job because there is more, of course, they have higher pay sa ibang non-nursing jobs. Hindi naman po natin sila masisi. Pero kung mabigyan po ng makatuwirang sahod, just pay ang nurses and mas humane work conditions, no? Sana po merong safe nurse-patient ratio. Mas na-encourage po natin ang maraming nurses na mag-work sa hospitals and ating community centers, health centers.
Ang problema ngayon sa nakikita nilang na dangers na sinasapit nyo, baka lalong umiwas siya na pumasok sa nursing. At this point,
nila, asking price, di ba?
Opo, kasi po initially yung DOH offered us volunteer scheme po sa dito sa pagtugon sa COVID-19 crisis. Ngayon ay sinasabi na po bigyan basic salary. Kung sa nurses po ang ating hiling ay yung entry-level salary of nurses amounting to 32,000 pesos per month, no po. At saka syempre,
nasusunod na siya, di ba?
Hindi pa po na-implement. Unfortunately, hindi pa po na-implement. Hindi pa po na-implement. Kaya nananawagan po kami sa gobyerno na sana i-implement na lalong-lalo na ngayon sa crisis nito para makikita na immediate support natin sa ating mga hardworking, dedicated nurses na patuloy na naglilingkod kahit araw-araw na duty ay sobrang pag-aalala nila na sila mismo ay magkaroon ng sakit na ito.
Yeah. Do you think that 32,000 is enough attraction, especially given the situation where the risks are just very high?
Opo. Sa FNU po, actually gusto po namin ng mas mataas.
Pero, syempre, hindi na realistic, no?
Meron pang isang problema, Ms. Andamo, na it has been reported recently, yung discrimination because of this pandemic. dagdag pa yan sa mga problema ng nurses ngayon, discrimination against health workers. Nararamdaman niyo pa rin
yan.
ba yun? Kasi nakikita naman natin maraming mga heroes. Nakikita natin sa social media, binabati kayo. Pero in actual life, on the ground, nararamdaman niyo pa rin
Opo, nangyayari pa ho yun na parang pinagdidirihan or meron pong na-display sa kanilang mga tirahan. Hindi na
Pinaalis
sila
na
pinabalik sa Opo, pinalis. No? Kaya siguro ang panawagan po kasi namin kahit sa local government units to provide protection po. Or yung hospital mismo could create a committee or a group that can protect the nurses to and from the health facility. Kasi reality po yan kahit pagdating nila doon sa community nila or yung papunta nila sa sa hospitals.
Jocelyn, moral ng
problema.
mga nurse. Kumusta mga moral nyo ngayon? I mean, hindi ba, I know that there are the risks are very high, but considering also na,
Opo.
alam mo, may nagre-recover, anong pakiramdam ng mga ganong success story, sabihin na lang natin? Does that make up for the danger that you face every day?
Talaga pong dedication and commitment po, grabe yung sakripisyo po ng mga nurses. Halos hindi na po nila nakakasama yung mga anak nila, ang pamilya nila, pero lahat po ito ay tinitiis para lang makapaglingkod sa ating mga kababayan, makabalik sa mga ospital, or hindi na po umuwi ng bahay. No? Kung na malaki ang role sa contact tracement, pero humaharap po sila sa mga tao na walang sapat na PPEs. Kaya pinapanawagan pa rin po natin. Sana magkaroon ng adequate protection
Ano kayo
to the
nag-improve?
PPEs. At siguro po idagdag ko na rin yung aming mga recommendations.
Kumusta naman yung mental health? Kumusta naman yung mental health ng mga nurses? Miss Andamo. Kasi napakalakas ng stress ngayon sa trabaho ninyo.
Opo, sobrang emotionally and psychologically stressed out na po sila. Nagsusuportahan po ang mga nasa health team, no? Meron po silang pamamaraan na kung saan nagpe-pray po sila before their work or nagsishare po sila ng naghihingahan po sila ng mga nararamdaman, mga insights. Napaka-importante po ng support system. No po? At makita nila na nandyan po ang support ng management ng hospital, ng gobyerno, through the actual, yung konkreto pong suporta like the PPEs na adequate po at siguro po yung masasabi natin, yung dagdag na benepisyo, masiguro na matatanggap nila po yung hazard pay na pinangako sa kanila at iba pang benepisyo ng Magna Carta of Public Health Workers kung na dapat ibigay ng mga private hospitals.
Baka meron pa kayong final message.
Pwede po idagdag ko na yung ilang mga comments namin. Kasi po yung sinasabi namin na ang basic principle po, the greater the exposure is the higher the risk. Kaya isang immediate po talaga na panawagan namin ay dapat baguhin, i-reduce ang number of hours of duty and number of days. No? Halimbawa po, pwedeng 3 days or 4 days lang po ng duty and they go on quarantine for 7 to 14 days. At magagawa po yan kung meron tayong sapat na nurses on the ground. So, nag-a-appeal po kami dapat mabilisan po ang mass hiring natin ng mga nurses po. Ang second recommendation po namin ay strictly observe yung infection control principles po, no? At malesen din ang patient load ng ating mga nurses. Dahil pag nabawasan po ang patient load, hindi ho sila ganun kapagod. Dahil sila ay emotionally, psychologically, physically stressed out, bumabagsak po ang immune system ng mga nurses. And the more na vulnerable po sila, susceptible po sila na magkaroon ng sakit na COVID-19. So mahalaga po yung number of days and hours of duty and magkaroon ng dagdag na staffing bilang suporta po sa kanila. And we also recommend yung appropriate, adequate training and orientation sa tamang paggamit po ng PPEs. Pwedeng nandyan ng PPEs, pero mali po ang paggamit natin ng PPEs. Like, sa bawat pasyente, hindi pwede pong isang PPEs lang ang gagamitin. Sa different patients, dapat iba po ang gagamitin. So, necessary po na merong adequate supply at alam ang tamang pamamaraan ng pagsusuot ng PPE. So, we recommend also yung immediate na training and orientation po sa infection control and pagsusuot o paggamit po ng ating protective equipment. And of course po, yung ating pong panawagan na napaka-importante rin po, yung urgent na mass testing of all health workers.
Yes.
Kasama na po ang ating mga nurses. Dito man sa city at pati man sa sa probinsya. Kasi marami po kami mga nurse members na nagsabi na natatakot na po sila dahil pakiramdam nila sila ay hindi protektado, kaya sila po ay nanganganib na posibleng meron na rin po silang sakit.
Quick
At
question.
marami nga po.
Quick question, no? Kasi nasa battlefront kayo. Ikaw ba,
Yes, po.
are you in favor of extending the lockdown?
Sa amin po, dalawa po kasi ang konsiderasyon niyan yung health aspect at saka yung socio-economic aspect ng ating mga kababayan. So, kung sa health aspect po, kami bilang mga nurses, tingin namin mahirap po na i-lift ang lockdown or quarantine kung hindi pa po sapat at sigurado ang ating mga mass testing. There will be, ang nakakatakot po ay yung resurgence ng ating mga cases. Dahil sabi nga po ng mga epidemiologists, the virus, SARS-CoV-2, is highly contagious and it can exponentially increase. Kaya nakakatakot po lumabas ng ating mga bahay kung hindi pa tayo sigurado na na-identify ang mga cases at na-isolate. So very important po ang mass testing, identify the cases, and isolate them. And be sure that they stay in the quarantine facilities. And doon din po sinasabi natin na ang mga nurses, malaki po ang roles dito po sa communities and doon din po sa mula po sa contact tracing, sa assessment, and sa assistance nila po sa testing and doon po sa quarantine facilities. So sa bahagi po namin, mas maganda po na i-extend muna ang ating ECQ para masiguro na ma-identify muna natin po ang ating mga cases, ma-isolate sila at mailagay muna po sila sa mga quarantine facilities. Ayun po. At syempre po, mahalaga rin na bigyang pansin ang pang-ekonomiyang kalagayan ng ating mga kababayan, masiguro po na ma-provide ang basic needs nila tulad ng sa pagkain at syempre po yung ikabubuhay nila dahil marami tayong mga kababayan, kahit po yung mga nurses na kasamahan namin, marami pa rin pong no work, no pay. So sana ma-subsidize and ma-regularize po ang ating mga contractual workers and nurses para masustentuhan nila ang sarili nila at ang kanilang mga pamilya. Kung hindi, yun sabi nga po nila, mamamatay sa gutom ang ating mga kababayan kung hindi naman po masuportahan. So, yun po ang aming mga rekomendasyon at pananaw at sa tingin po namin, kailangan natin ng agarang pagkilos, hindi na po natin ma-afford ang delay dahil time is of the essence. Bawat araw po mahalaga kasi ang buhay po ng nurses ang nakataya dito. Sa bawat pagtungtong nila sa mga health facilities na pinapasukan nila. Kaya kailangan meron hong immediate measures para makontrol ang pagkalat ng COVID-19 na ito.
Right, thank you, Jocelyn. Salamat.
Maraming salamat.
That's the voice of the heroes of this battle. Ms. Jocelyn
Maraming
Albao,
salamat.
Secretary General of the First Filipino Nurses United. Marami pong salamat for joining the Chiefs That will be all for this special edition of The Chiefs. We hope what was discussed here will keep the conversation going. I'm Ami Pamintuan of the Philippine Star.
And I'm Lucy Cruz Valdez of News 5, and we are One News.